Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the SBL Guru vodcast. In this episode, myself and SBL legend Tom Clendon focus on which optional papers you should take and in which order. Enjoy the vodcast.
One of the things that I love about ACCA, but also slightly frustrates me, is choice. Because at the strategic professional level, there are currently 4 exams of which you only have to do 2. Now, students often ask me, which 2 exams should I do? Have you ever been asked that question, Marty?
It's an FAQ, as they say. It's a frequently asked question, and I think there's no sort of hard and fast answer as to which one you do, because there's a lot of personal factors. I think you'll agree with me. A lot of personal factors that will influence your choice, right? So the first thing I ask students is, what were you good at in the past? Because that might be a good indication of what you're going to be good at in the future.
So if they've done skills, and they love AA, they have the audit paper, AAA links into that, FM links into AFM, tax links into advanced tax. It might be obvious because if you failed your tax paper 2 or 3 times, at the lower level,
don't do advanced.
What's the point in doing it
obviously,
at the higher level?
I think you've got to consider as well what job you're going to do. So if you are working for one of the big 4 audit firms, quite often from my discussions with PwC and KPMG is if you're going to be working in audit, they prefer their students to do advanced audit and assurance. They want them to do advanced audit and assurance. So it could come from a pressure, and if you want to work in an audit firm in the future, you might have that better background if you have advanced audit and assurance. So that's definitely a consideration, I would think.
Yeah. So I mean, Marty and I can talk about this because mine is a compulsory paper. Marty's is a compulsory paper. We've got effectively no skin in the game. And Marty's absolutely on the money when he talks about the big 4, what exams are relevant for somebody who wants to be an audit professional. It's got to be AAA. And there's an order around, there's a little sequence around AAA because AAA, the audit paper, is auditing accounting standards that you only learn about in SBR. You must only do AAA after you have done SBR, because you've then got a head start on your AAA.
Yeah, definitely. Don't do AAA without doing SBR. That's kind of like a backwards way around of doing it. What about multiple papers, Tom? What's your view on students? Sometimes they're sitting multiple papers. Do you think it's a good idea to sit? I mean, when I did my exams, I had to sit 4 papers at the same time because that was the nature of the professional qualification that I did when the exams were hard. So, what I think now is you've got a choice. You can sit 1, 2, or 3 papers at a time. What would you advise me to most students?
1 paper at a time. We've got 4 exam sittings a year. All right.
Yeah.
So it's 1 exam at a time, please. I've seen it too often. Students studying the 2 strategic professional exams, holding down a job, doing an exam which is tough, harder than a degree qualification. It's a higher academic level. 1 exam at a time, please.
Yeah. What about APM? APM, like who does APM? I mean, in what situation would you do APM? I mean, maybe you're good at PM. We mentioned that already.
Yeah.
What sort of job scope links itself to APM? Is it like more management accounting?
I think it sounds interesting. I think it sounds interesting. Of all the papers, I've talked about SBR having a relationship with AAA, and I know a lot of my students go on to do the audit paper. I've heard that APM is the closest to SBL. That there is a little bit of a narrative, judgment, practical business model type of thing. Is that a fair observation?
Some crossover. Yeah, it's a crossover. It's like I say it's a bit like SBL with numbers and maths, which is probably not quite. I'm sure Jeff, our friend who teaches that paper, would not entirely agree with me, but there's a lot of crossover in terms of the models are very similar to the models you're going to get in SBL. So there is some crossover. If you're good at SBL, the APM paper does have a lot of the same models, but they're using mathematics like BCG, Boston Consulting Group. They'll do a calculation based on market share and market growth in there. So there is a lot of similarity between the two papers. So that's, if you're good at SBL and you really like it and you're quite good at maths, maybe APM is the one for you.
Now, talking about maths, we've got 4 strategic professional exams: AAA, AFM, ATAX, APM. All right. If you love your spreadsheets, if you love your number crunching, which of those 4 exams appeals to you the most, do you think, Marty?
When I was a student, which was many, many years ago, when dinosaurs still walked the earth, I really liked AFM. I thought it was really interesting. I liked all the things about the investment and the stock market. I found that to be like a massively interesting paper. And I just I really like it. I think it's got a lot of practical value, and it helps you to understand the stock market a bit and investments. I really like that paper. So if you're into kind of finance and you like the stock market and you're interested to find out more about how stocks are valued and how stocks work, I think that's a really interesting paper. Some people are not. They just love auditing. Some people they sleep at night after reading auditing books. So, it depends what floats your boat. So when I advise students, it's kind of, what do you like? What do you like doing and what you're good at? Don't do the paper that you're not good at. Don't do the paper you don't like. If you don't like anything, do the one with the highest pass rates.
Oh, no. I disagree. I've got written down here, things that we should take into account and things that we don't. I don't think you should be looking at pass rates as to influencing which exam you should be doing. I think you need to be looking at yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you've got no preference, if you don't really care, right? If you hate all of them,
you hate all of them, don't be an accountant. I mean, you're in the wrong job. Go and be a doctor, go and be a journalist, go and be an engineer. You hate all of them. This should be a positive problem. Maybe one of the 4 rules itself out automatically for you because you just don't like one of the 4. Fair enough. For me, selfishly, that would be spreadsheets. Don't like spreadsheets. When I was working for KPMG, when I was working as an accountant, it was before Excel. And so, I don't like spreadsheets. So AFM for me will be a struggle. That was the exam I got 50 on in my final exams. So I respect it. It's interesting, but selfishly, it's not for me. It's probably for you, though. If you like numbers, you like Excel spreadsheets, go for it.
Yeah, I was from a management accounting background, so I did the management accounting. So, I quite like the management accounting stuff and the spreadsheet. So it did work for me, So,
tax is...
What you've got to do is take a decision based on what you're good at. And like Tom said, if you don't like any of them, why are you becoming an accountant? So whatever you do will be a very valued skill in your workplace and in your job. So, think about that as well. Think about the job you've got now, but also maybe the job you want to do in the future. So if you want to go into audit, if you really want to be a hardcore auditor, do AA. If you really want to be more on a maths, management accounting, maybe APM is a better paper for you. Think about the job you have and the job you want.
And there's a little nuance. There's a little nuance there that Marty just referred to. If you want to be a hardcore auditor, not only do you have to do AAA, but you should do AAA as a variant, as a UK or Irish variant, because if you want to practice as a sole trader, if you want to have a practicing certificate and be the registered auditor that signs off the accounts, then in UK and Ireland, you need to have done both SBR as the UK variant and AAA as the UK or Irish variant as applicable, so that you do know about FRS 102. So there's a very specific, so some people don't really think of this as a big choice. The other little thing, whilst we're talking about variants, is of course tax. And for some people, if you've got a local tax variant, that may be something that you want to study. But if you haven't got a local tax variant, you've got to think about whether you want to really study the UK tax accounting system.
Good point.
You might want to choose one of the other papers that might be more relevant to your career if you're not going to be working in the UK and dealing with UK tax.
I did have some weird questions when I was living in Singapore, where people were living in Singapore, they were Singaporeans, and they asked me, should I do UK tax because it's more prestigious? And I said, of course not. Don't do it. It's not prestigious at all. Just do the tax that is relevant for your country, right? Because the UK tax is not. So there's no point doing UK tax because it's somehow better. It's not. It's just whatever tax is in your country. If there's a tax variant in your country, take it. Don't do the UK, because it's not more prestigious at all. It's just irrelevant for you.
So I think, to recap, when you're choosing your strategic professional choices, take ownership of it. Do some research. Go onto the ACCA website, have a look at an exam paper. If you want to talk to somebody about that, then, Ben Wilson is the man to contact for AAA. Sunil Bandari is the man to contact for AFM. Aileen Edgar is the woman to contact for ATAX. And for APM, it's Jeff Caldwell,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
They will search these people on the internet. They're experts. They're out there. They will sell their papers. They're enthused about their papers. All of them are.
They love it.
All right. Because they're all good choices. Yeah. There's all good choices.
Yeah, definitely. They love it. Right. That's it, Tom. Thanks very much. I think we've given people a very clear indication there of how they can make a choice on their optional papers. Thanks very much.